5, okay, at 5.
And the other one's 5:30. Everybody ready?
Yep.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Township Board Business Meeting. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It would be nice to have a crowd like this at every meeting. So I suppose if we got an issue that everybody was into, we might be able to do that at every meeting. But thank you for coming. All right. Start with additions and deletions. Do we have any additions or deletions for tonight? Seeing none, I'd like to have a motion for approval of the agenda as it stands.
So moved. Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Okay. Next, we do have a presentation, a short, very short presentation. Mr. Longton, as part of what we did last meeting, Jamie Churches got up and introduced herself. She's running for office, and Mr. Longton is also. So we're going to give him a chance to say a few words. Yep. I'm sorry, Kevin Counts. What was it?
That's okay. That's all right.
I'm sorry.
That's
Kevin.
okay. I appreciate you.
I have a few things on my mind tonight.
Well, I appreciate you working me into the agenda here. I got word of it a little late on you had left an open invitation, so I appreciate it. My name is Kevin Counts. I am a resident of Grosse Ile. Because of my profession and my job as a Grosse Ile police officer, I prefer not to give my specific address, but I am a resident. I'm a Republican candidate for state representative for our area. I've lived in Grosse Ile for about 17 years, been a Grosse Ile police officer for about 15 years. I've been the president of the Grosse Ile Police Officers Association for several years, where a lot of you know me. For those who don't know me, I'll share a little about my background. I grew up downriver, raised my family downriver. I've lived in this area for about 45 of my 50 years. I've been a police officer for nearly 25 years, spent 9 of those with the city of Detroit. Prior to that, I was a soldier in the U.S. Army where I spent time overseas, did a tour in Mogadishu, Somalia. My wife and I own a successful business in Woodhaven. We built that business from the ground up during the most difficult times in memory. We signed a lease about 1 week before the lockdowns occurred on a shell of a building. So we had to spend a year trying to get it up and running. So we've experienced some challenges caused by government. I lay my background out there to let people know that I'm a candidate with a lot of real world and real life experience. I've personally felt the impact of misguided law and government policy as a soldier, police officer, and as a business owner. As you can imagine, with my background, one of my first priorities as your state representative is public safety. I will push back at politicians and policies that have effectively demonized law enforcement as a group. Their rhetoric has resulted in physical harm to police officers and caused police officers to leave police work at rates we've never seen before. Their attacks have demoralized police and caused crime rates to rise. I will also make school safety and performance a priority. While the means of addressing threats to our schools and school performance is multifaceted, the simple fact of the matter is that our kids cannot learn and our teachers cannot educate if they come to school in fear. I'll take an active role in ensuring that our environment is protected as McLeod Steel, Trenton Power Plant, and Solutia sites are remediated and redeveloped. This process is of particular interest to me because my mom worked at the McLeod site for about 20 years as their payroll supervisor until she died of cancer at age 45. I'll never know if it was related to her work on that site, but even at that time as a teenager, I realized that site was a mess. I can assure you as your state rep, these sites will be cleaned up in a safe manner and left free of toxic chemicals before the companies walk away. I will also work closely with Trenton and Riverview leadership to assist them in any way possible so they can capitalize on a rare opportunity to redevelop a large area of waterfront land, an area that will affect all the surrounding areas. Lastly, I feel it's important for voters to know that my life experience has made it clear to me that government policy is not made in a vacuum, that there are real lives and real people that have to deal with the consequences of decisions made by leaders. As your state representative, I will not forget that. I look forward to working with all of you and the rest of local leaders to develop Grosse Ile and the Downriver area into the area it has always had the potential to be. If anyone would like more information about my campaign, go to electkevincounts.com. And if I could say something else really briefly unrelated, since I'm up here, I'd like to compliment our John Keim from the DPS. I've been meaning to come up here for a while and do it. Every time we call him, night or day, rain, snow, whatever it is, he answers his phone. And I've been meaning to come up here and compliment him for quite some time. So I just want to take the opportunity while I'm here to do that. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for the comments on John. Again, you know, the board is not endorsing anyone, but we're allowing anyone that is running to come up and talk to you so that you're more aware and you can put a face to that name on the ballot, so you know who you're voting for. So thank you, Kevin. Public comment. This is public comment on any agenda item. 3 minutes. State your name and where you live. And Luke.
Hi, my name is Luke Krauss, 24828 East River Road. What a great night. It's a positive night, a year in the making of getting a police chief. I am here to support Ken Pellin. Ken, I want to thank you for your years of service. I think about having kids on this island. 54 years I've lived on this island, and it's tremendous to have people that have the dedication, the number of years of service that they put forth into the community.
Luke, I'm going to ask you. You have to talk into the mic so the
Can you hear
people
me?
at home can. So
Okay.
the people at home can
Yeah,
hear you.
trying to address everybody. Having a tremendous support from Ken for our community. My children, I said I lived here 54 years, raised children here, and the DARE program, you took it from a personal level and dedicated for the benefit of all of us, for our children. Your leadership, I can imagine if I were a police officer coming out today, and coming out and seeing a leader like you are, you would be the type of leader I would want to follow. I would dedicate myself to the community the way you have and put myself out there, and we all would benefit from that. So it's been a year in the making. I urge the board to do the right thing, to select Ken Pellin as our police chief. He's earned it, he's dedicated, and it's time for us to do the right thing. Thank you.
Thanks, Luke. Anyone else? Yes.
Good evening, trustees. My name is Diane Pericol, and I live in Lansing, Michigan. And I'm here to support Lieutenant Pellin for your chief of police. I first met Ken about 20 years ago during my tenure with the Michigan Office of Highway Safety Planning. He served as project director for both the traffic and underage drinking multi-agency enforcement grants and did the job flawlessly, balancing the needs of the grant requirements with the community culture of Grosse Ile. His insights helped shape those enforcement programs and ultimately saved lives not only in downriver Detroit, but across the state. After his involvement with the enforcement grants, Ken decided to expand his understanding of substance use disorders and started attending meetings on prevention and treatment. His participation with the Prevention Coalition and Drug Treatment Court were beneficial for not only Grosse Ile residents, but all of downriver Detroit. Over the course of my career, I've had several law enforcement friends get promoted to chief or sheriff. The skills these people had are exactly the skill set that would benefit the residents of Grosse Ile, a chief who is dedicated to the citizens and agency before their own agenda. They know that a strong law enforcement community extends beyond their borders to adjoining communities. They have a natural commitment to teamwork and collaboration. Ken has all of these traits and many more I don't have time to mention. I'm not sure if you knew, but Lieutenant Pellin also volunteered his time for several years to train officers from Detroit PD on best practices on underage drinking enforcement, earning the respect and recognition from command and patrol officers. I'm pretty sure Ken would never be able to get a ticket in Detroit. I not only consider him a professional colleague, but a friend as well. His dedication to duty extends beyond the citizens of Grosse Ile to his faith, his family, and his friends. Grosse Ile Township would be well served to appoint him as police chief. Thank you. Yep.
Else? Am I missing anybody around the podium that I can't see? Are we good?
Yeah, there's Mr. Heil.
Oh.
I'm Bill Heil. I live on East River Road here on Grosse Ile. And probably like many other people would sing Ken Pellin's praises. I don't have the length of experience this lady who just spoke had, but he has helped my wife and I when we had some real trouble years ago, and you just never forget that. And on other occasions we've met him and found his stature to be exemplary. I've watched this process go on here for a while for selecting a police chief these last few years, and we've had some difficulties. I hope we adhere to a regular process that respects the police commission. They have done work for 50 years, and I've been to their meetings, and they're trying to be as consistent with what the statutes require as they know how to be. And the results have always been, in my opinion, very good. We're at a time when our police officers are challenged by the demands and the drains of COVID. You need leadership that knows one another, that's a team that, if you'll permit, knows the way, if I can put that in quote. His credentials are exemplary. I think he deserves opportunity to prove that he can do that. And so I'm recommending, as the others have here just before me, that you cast your vote for him. We have the other people there. We have a strong team, and we're lucky as a community, in my opinion, to have all these people. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Anyone else? Yes.
My name is Alice Carrigan. I'm fairly new to the community. I've been here for 4 years. And I must say, 9839 Hawthorne Glen. I've been very impressed with the community. I mean, this isn't like Ukraine. So I hope we can be civil and decent to each other. I'm really impressed with the process you all have gone through, to be fair. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Tom Malvesto, 8049 Birkshire Drive. Longtime resident, 1951. Been here a while. Seen a lot of things take place in this township. I want to speak on behalf of Ken Pellin, Lieutenant Ken Pellin. I served on the board as a trustee for approximately 9.5 years. I was a liaison with the fire department, and in being in that position, I took advantage of spending a lot of mornings in a public safety building in the fire department, taking advantage of Chief Murdoch and at the time Fire Marshal Beaudry to tap into their knowledge of how a fire department runs. And then I'd go over to the police side, and I'd say good morning over there, and I'd speak with at that time Joe Porcerelli, he was police chief, and I spent a lot of time with Ken Pellin as well. And I took advantage of their knowledge, and I got to know Ken on a pretty close, pretty personal level. I could probably spend a half an hour here reading through a list of accomplishments that Ken has gone through in his life. We can talk about 3,500 students that he touched in the 5th grade DARE program. I mean, we can talk about a lot of things, but quite frankly, Ken is probably the most qualified person to take this job. And I'm sure all the gentlemen on the board here would agree with me of Ken's being deserving of this position. So I urge all of you to, reach deep tonight when you do make the vote, and on Ken's behalf, to vote him in and appoint him as our police chief. He truly deserves it. He's been around a long time, has touched a lot of people, and understands not only our community, but the responsibilities of a police force. And we've always prided ourselves in public safety. We've talked about it many times at many board meetings, how we meet levels unheard of by any other community across the United States. And Ken has always been a big part of that. So, Ken, thank you, sir. And again, I hope that the board makes the right decision this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Anyone else? No? I can't see around the podium. Oh. Yes, sir. John.
Well, thank you, Lord, for bringing us Ken back to us. And I just wanted to say to the board that John Sabat, West River Road. Is that okay, Uta? Good? Okay, good. All right. Thank you. The police commission has already had multiple approvals for the candidate to be promoted. Again, that's Pellin. I would like to ask the board right here in front of everybody here and on TV, give me 1 or 2 or 3 reasons why you do not want Pellin. We understand there's 4 votes against him. You got the floor. You got 10 seconds for my time.
Comment period, John.
I'm asking for your comment, Supervisor Butney.
No, it's your comment, sir.
And I'm asking you a question.
Ask questions here, you make a comment.
Now you're going to tell me what to dictate?
No, I'm not going to tell you what to dictate. I don't want you to
You're going to
dictate
tell me
anything.
what I'm going to say?
Make your comment.
Anyway, the board, from what I understand, has prerequisite or has asked him to take a physical. The man just went through hell and back. The man has physically proven himself. He has talent between his ears. He's a leader, and that's what we need. This township has got to stop the politics. We have an attorney here that says, I only do what the township tells me to do. He doesn't give opinions. He's hired to give an opinion. So if he doesn't qualify, maybe we should do something about that, to be an attorney. Because this is a mockery of what's going on in the township. This gentleman is an asset to this organization, this city here, this township. To give that up is for you not to be doing your duty to protect this township. And if you do not do that, you should step up, grab your pencil and pad, and walk out that door. Because this township belongs to the people. It doesn't belong to anybody up there. We as a community support Mr. Pellin. The majority, we cannot allow 4 votes to destroy the growth of this community and protect the safety of this community. The reason you don't hear much from Pellin, he's a doer. He leads by example. The speed of the leader determines the rate of the pack. We are the pack. He's the leader in the police department. So you need to understand, I would like you to ask yourself tonight when you look in the mirror before you go to bed, what has he done wrong? Nothing. He stood up for the rights.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Again, I can't see around there. Is there anybody in back that's... Okay. No more public comment at this point.
Oh, here's one more.
Up.
Always
Oh.
late.
Hey, Greg.
Greg Karmazin. I'm a resident of Clinton Township, but I am a homeowner and taxpayer right here on good old Grosse Ile, where I was born and raised. I think there are many people that have already spoken about the credentials and abilities of Lieutenant Pellin and the reasons for his appointment, why it's merited to be named the next chief of police here. What I want to just quickly talk about is process. I think the process that's been used to get to this point, quite frankly, is very disappointing. We know, and this, I think everybody in this community that's been following this issue knows that the police commission for the last 50 years has been the primary entity in this township for making recommendations on who should be approved by the township board. And we all know that township board has the final say, but the 5 members of the township police commission who are there every month, working with the officers, understanding the needs and programs and policies of the department, they're the ones that are in the best possible position to understand what type of leadership is needed to make this department the best it can be and to keep this township as safe as it can be. And for the last 50 years, every time the Township Police Commission has made a recommendation, this Township Board has approved it. Unfortunately, there were a couple times when that process was circumvented. And I'd like to revisit that in 2018 when this process was circumvented. And here's what then Township Trustee, Mr. Budney, said about the process of circumventing the Police Commission. He said at the board meeting on September 24th, 2018, "It's absolutely the wrong way to do this. I don't think anybody out there would think this is the right process. It just defies me, other than to keep hearing, this is what we want to do. Guys, think a little. Please think a little. Remember, you're doing this for the community, not for you, for the board, not for the board, not for the town, not for the township. You're doing this for the community." And it was also pointed out, and I think it's going to be there, that if this is plowed through, you're sending a terrible example. You're setting a terrible example, and you're sending a message to the police department and police commission. And Trustee Budney, you were absolutely right in 2018. And I hope that Supervisor Budney will remember your words from 2018. And I'd go on further to say that in 2019, when Trustee Budney spoke about the effort to remove Mike Jarecki and Bob Zelasco from the police commission, in part largely for their objections to the circumvention of the Township Ordinance 6710 and the process that had been followed for 50 years. This is what Trustee Budney said then. You sit there and you literally...
Greg, your time is up.
Okay,
I'm sorry. And I'm going to have to stick to the time because we obviously have a lot of people,
all right,
and
fair
I know
enough,
a
but
lot of
anyways,
people want to
you
talk.
criticized the process for
Yes.
circumventing.
Yes, because there
and-
was no process back
Right,
then.
right.
There was a process here. We are dealing with a recommendation from the police commission tonight.
Right. Well,
So
the
it's
bottom
been
line is,
followed.
every time the police commission has made a recommendation in the last 50 years in this township board has approved that recommendation. I hope you do so tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Oh, there's one. Kathy.
Kathy Walker, 26051 Thorpe Court. I'll make this quick. 3 times they have the Police Commission has unanimously endorsed Ken Pellin. 3 times, including the last time with that committee. As far as I'm concerned, I can't see, unless you can come up with a reason not to and voice it and let us know, no one's going to be happy with how this vote goes. So I'm hoping you guys listen to the police commission, honor their diligence and all the work they did, and vote for Ken Pellin. I support him. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. aren't any more hands, I'm gonna turn, oh, yeah, I'm gonna turn it over to the deputy clerk. As you know, we instituted people being able to send emails in to have them read at public comment. We did get some. And Brian, go ahead. Each one is on the same 3-minute time limit as the people that are here. So
yeah, I've got about I've got about 8 here. I will try to get through them as fast as I can here. Erick Heilman.
Brian, and I'm going to stop just a second.
Yep.
And I'm going to ask the board. There are a number of them that were boilerplate letters or emails to us where maybe a paragraph was changed, but everything else was the same. If it's okay with the board, I'll have Brian read the full thing once, and then on the other ones, just read the change. If you're not comfortable with that, we can read the whole thing every time. It's
I'd prefer to hear them all read.
okay. Okay, read them
No
all.
problem. Erick Heilman, 22251 Balmoral Drive. Dear Township Board members, I am submitting this statement to be read aloud during the appropriate public comment period of the Township Board regular business meeting on Monday, February 28th, 2022, to express my strong support for the Township Board approving the Township Police Commission's unanimous recommendation to promote Lieutenant Ken Pellin to Police Chief. Lieutenant Pellin has a highly distinguished 29-year career protecting and serving Islanders with the Grosse Ile Police Department. He has outstanding leadership experience, substantial professional training, solid personal character, and a deep passion for helping the community. I am particularly impressed by Lieutenant Pellin's outstanding work with Island youth and the Grosse Ile schools. His efforts to implement and improve programs to benefit students such as the Drug Abuse Resistance Education Initiative have been praised by Grosse Ile Township School District officials and many parents alike. Thank you for your consideration of my opinion. Please keep this statement in the official record of support for the promotion of Lieutenant Pellin to GIPD Chief. Next, Michael and Jacqueline Lee. Dear Township Board members, I am submitting this statement to be read aloud during the appropriate public comment period for the Township Board regular business meeting on Monday, February 28th, 2022. 25105 Hazelnut Court. To express my strong support for the Township Board approving the Township Police Commission's unanimous recommendation to promote Lieutenant Ken Pellin to Police Chief. Lieutenant Pellin has a highly distinguished 29-year career protecting and serving Islanders with the Grosse Ile Police Department. He has outstanding leadership experience, substantial professional training, solid personal character, and a deep passion for helping the community. I am particularly impressed by Lieutenant Pellin's outstanding work with Island youth and the Grosse Ile schools. His efforts to implement and improve programs to benefit students, such as the Drug Abuse Resistance Education Initiative, have been praised by Grosse Ile Township Schools district officials and many parents alike. Thank you for your consideration of my opinion. Please keep this statement in the official record of support for promoting Lieutenant Pellin to GIPD Chief. Rebecca Woolsey, 8421 Mathias Drive. Dear Township Board members, I am submitting this statement to be read aloud during the appropriate public comment period of the Township Board regular business meeting on Monday, February 28, 2022, to express my strong support for the Township Board approving the Township Police Commission's unanimous recommendation to promote Lieutenant Ken Pellin to Police Chief. Lieutenant Pellin has a highly distinguished 29-year career protecting and serving Islanders with the Grosse Ile Police Department. He has outstanding leadership experience, substantial professional training, solid personal character, and a deep passion for helping the community. I not only know Lieutenant Pellin as a police officer, detective, lieutenant, dare officer, etc., but I also personally know him as the upstanding, supportive, and dedicated friend, dad, husband, son, uncle, and person that he is. I am particularly impressed by Lieutenant Pellin's outstanding work with Island youth and the Grosse Ile schools. Its efforts to implement and improve programs to benefit students such as the Drug Abuse Resistance Education Initiative have been praised by Grosse Ile Township Schools district officials and many parents alike. Thank you for your consideration of my opinion. Please keep this statement in the official record of support promoting Lieutenant Pellin to GIPD Chief. Maureen Flavin, Park Lane. Township Board members of Grosse Ile, I'm submitting this statement to be read aloud during the appropriate public comment period of the Township Board regular business meeting on Monday, February 28, 2022. I strongly urge the Township Board to approve the Township Police Commission's unanimous recommendation to promote Lieutenant Ken Pellin to Police Chief. He is by far the best candidate. Outstanding leadership experience, substantial professional training, solid personal character, respected throughout the community, and a deep passion for helping the community is what I would like to see in a police chief. I am sure you do too. You can't disagree with Lieutenant Pellin, a 29-year veteran of GIPD, has all of those qualities and more. The Grosse Ile School District and parents have both praised him for his work in implementing and improving programs such as DARE for the benefit of Grosse Ile School District students. He is admired by student and teachers alike. In addition, it is quite evident that the Downriver law enforcement community highly respects Lieutenant Pellin, as evidenced by the mile-long parade of police and fire vehicles welcoming him home on November 28th. As you will recall, almost every law enforcement community was represented. There's a link to the News Herald article. Thank you for your consideration of my opinion. Please keep this statement in the official record of support for promoting Lieutenant Pellin to GIPD Chief. Phil Smiley, 25198 Dallas. Hello, Board. I am writing to you in regards to the hiring of Police Chief for Grosse Ile Township. This process has gone on way too long, and in these critical times we are facing in this country, we need a full-time chief and someone well-respected by not only his peers, but the community as a whole. It's time to do what is right for the citizens of Grosse Ile. Enough of playing games and thinking about yourselves. We need a true professional that can keep our community safe in the days ahead. I ask you, Board, to consider the promotion tonight of Ken Pellin to Police Chief of Grosse Ile. Greg Kish, 10311 Broadhead. Dear Township Board members, I am sorry that I cannot attend the Township Board meeting in person tonight. I am submitting this statement to be read aloud during the appropriate public comment period of the Township Board regular business meeting on Monday, February 20th, 2022, to express my strong support for the Township Board approving the Township Police Commission's unanimous recommendation to promote Lieutenant Ken Pellin to Police Chief. This promotion is long overdue, and any delay on moving forward with the 3-time recommendation of the Police Commission is really starting to look like the Board has put their personal feelings above what is best for this community. Get over your personal feelings and do the right thing for the residents of Grosse Ile. Corey Wagle, 21228 Shirley. I very strongly agree that Officer Pellin should be offered the promotion that he deserves in this community. He has served us for many years and deserves a chance to be promoted to chief. I work in the schools and have seen him as the DARE coach for my children and all of the students in our school district. I couldn't have a better person to teach our younger, we couldn't have a better person to teach our younger generation. And I have one more. Heather Saki, 28769 Albemarle Drive. I don't really know the candidate or candidates that have been assessed for our chief. However, I fully support and expect the Township Board or Township Council approve back the recommendation of the resident-led commission that has done extensive research and interviewing in order to present the best candidate. This is the same protocol that has been followed for decades here, and if the Township Board has valid information that would disqualify the vetted candidate, I believe he's been vetted and recommended 3 times now, then the Board needs to state public and in writing why they are ignoring the recommendation of the resident-led commission. No more closed-door gossip sessions or dragging out long dead grudges with the police commission at the detriment of our township and police department. To not have a chief for a year and more due to politics and personalities is ridiculous. That is all.
Done. All right, we'll move along to the consent agenda. Mr. Nadeau?
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to approve consent agenda 21-078, which includes the following. Minutes of the February 9th, 2022 special meeting, minutes of the February 9th, 2022 closed session, minutes of the February 14th, 2022 regular meeting, check registers dated through February 18th, 2022, and Kevlar vest purchases for the police department.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
I just have a
Uda.
quick question, and I'm hoping Derek can answer it on item number 5 on the Kevlar vests, the Kevlar vest purchase.
Mike?
I'm just asking Derek in terms of, is this a budgeted item? It wasn't listed on the motion, so either one of you can answer, was this budgeted? But it,
Mike's saying it may not have been an actual line item budget, but there's money for it, so.
Yeah,
it's
and-
something that they need.
And the nature,
They desperately need.
go ahead, and the nature of the expiration of the vests, it was, I believe, a planned purchase, but maybe not a budgeted purchase, but there is availability within the budget for that purchase.
well, you know, in our motions, we usually try to cover budget impact, or if something is in the budget or not, and we just went through this for the fire department. I understand that the police department needs this. I don't have a problem with that. It would just be nice to know. Thanks.
And now other questions or comments? Hearing none, we have a motion to approve consent agenda 21-078, which consists of the following: minutes of the February 9th, 2022 special meeting, minutes of the February 9th, 2022 closed session, minutes of the February 14th, 2022 regular meeting, check register and invoice dated through February 18th, 2022, and the Kevlar vest purchase. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. We have our consent agenda. Thank you.
Jim, I've got a question on the action items whenever you're
Well,
free.
we're going into the action items, yes.
It's about process. I didn't know. I was just wondering, since obviously we have a large crowd tonight, and I don't know the process, but can number 5 be moved to number 1, just as like last month we had the fire department go ahead? If we have, I don't know, maybe 40 people here on this issue, it might be nice to move it to number 1 as opposed to number 5. I mean, not that they're not here to see anything else. I don't want to say that, but
They might be here for number 5. Is that what you're saying, Joe?
well, I'm sure they are, and I'm just saying that.
I
Sludge hauling is not high.
I myself have no problem with moving that around unless I hear any pushback on that. We can certainly do that.
Thank you.
Okay? Any comment on that? If not, we will move action item number 5 to number 1 and just move everything else down.
All right.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
So with that, just let me juggle my papers here. Michael, I believe that is your action item. If you would, please.
So we have a recommendation that the Grosse Ile Township Board hereby approves the promotion of Lieutenant Ken Pellin to Grosse Ile Township Chief of Police following satisfactory completion of job requirements.
Before anybody supports, and I assume somebody will support that, could I ask that we change the word promotion to hire? Because that's what the announcement was, for a hire, not a promotion.
Higher.
Well, it sounds like it's a promotion.
Yeah.
He's.
Well, we can leave, I mean, if you guys don't want it, we can leave it a promotion.
Was it not a promotion when it was Deputy Chief Harden looking at the position?
It was, because it was internal. This was external people, so it was a hire.
Well,
but it's still a promotion for
no, it's a
him.
promotion for Ken.
But not legally. Legally, it's a hire. It's going to be, I mean, it's a promotion for him, speaking realistically, but from a legal standpoint, it's a hire. That's all. It's just.
Does it matter what the motion says in those terms? Do those words matter to you?
No, I think He is an existing police officer. He's a lieutenant.
I'm not gonna argue
And
it.
he's
If you
being
wanna leave it,
promoted.
if you wanna leave it, just tell me you wanna
I
leave it.
think I want to leave it. I think
Okay,
it's more
all right.
accurate.
Then we're, okay, then we're dealing with that.
Pardon me? Do we have a second?
So, a second.
He's answered the question, he's leaving it, there's nothing, that's what he read, that's what's there, okay. So now we need a second for his reading.
Second.
Your second, okay. We have the motion and we have a second. With that, I'll ask for comments from the board and I'll start with Mike.
Well, I'd like to give a little history. As we've heard tonight, this is the third time that there's been unanimous support for Ken Pellin to be promoted to our next chief of police. And we went through a process. There were 20. Pardon me?
Sorry. Can someone just open the doors for airflow, please?
Back there. Oh. Okay. I'll wait till they come back, huh? All right, we good? All right.
Just with this many people in the room, I
Yeah.
prefer to keep the air flowing.
Okay.
Thank you.
So,
Go ahead,
yeah.
Mike.
So we followed a little different process. The police commission agreed for one-time exception because we had so many people apply for this position. There were 20, mainly internal candidates, and a team of interviewers led by Derek Thiel narrowed that down to the 3 best candidates. They were all good candidates. So the commission took it from there, and we performed a rigorous interview process in a public forum and a review of many letters of recommendation received from numerous professional agencies. The commission was able to make an in-depth assessment of each candidate's overall experience, integrity, leadership abilities, past accomplishments, vision, and operating philosophies and strategies for the Grosse Ile Police Department going forward into the future. In addition to that, and I'm going to try not to be redundant because there's already been a lot said about this, but Ken, by far, I'd like to expand a little bit on his experience. He's got 29 years of outstanding community experience, and that is extremely relevant. There's other candidates that had experience, a lot of experience, but not so much in community policing. And it would be an understatement to say that Ken has performed at an extraordinary level in that particular area. He has won Mad Merit Service Awards from Mothers Against Drunk Driving. He was 19 years as a detective. He has written over $1 million in grants and teaches at the Staff and Command program at Eastern Michigan University, the process of writing grants. Now, and if you're in a community like Grosse Ile, and we're very tight on money and try to keep our taxes low, bringing in $1 million in grants is a pretty important thing. And he's taught a lot of people to do that. He was promoted to the commander of the Downriver Mutual Aid negotiation team, where he led 14 hostage negotiators from several different law enforcement agencies. He was one of the more junior persons on that team, and he was promoted above the rest because of his outstanding leadership experience and is credited with saving one life and has received multiple awards for that. He was a project director, a multi-jurisdictional task force for traffic safety programs around downriver and has been recognized tonight for that. He's a DARE officer for 20 years and he's trained over 3,500 students in that program, and there's a lot of parents that are extremely grateful for that in this community, because nothing's more important than the safety of our children and their protection from drugs and other illicit substances. He has coordinated the police department open houses over the years. We didn't have one because of COVID most recently the past year, but those have always had an outstanding turnout and has created a lot of support for the police department in this community. They're always well attended. He is a school resource officer responsible for emergency drills, active shooter drills, etc., and has done a great job. All you have to do is read some of the recommendations from the school board of directors that have served, as well as prior superintendent. He's a public information officer responsible for media relationships. Since Mr. Porcherelli has left as the chief of police, every time there's a major incident on Grosse Ile, who's the person that has been in front of the camera? Even though Ken was always the subordinate officer, somehow he was the one put in front of the cameras, and I have to tell you, he did a hell of a great job representing this community. He's the president of the Stepping Stones Therapeutical Horseback Riding local nonprofit that assists children with disabilities, and he's been doing this for 10 years. The list goes on. I could read for an hour here, but I'm not going to. I think people get the gist. Ken is by far the most qualified person we have for this job. He has done a phenomenal job as a lieutenant, detective, sergeant, you name it, and I'm just proud here tonight to be able to recommend him as our next chief of police. I thank you for all your support.
Thanks, Mike. Joe, do you have any comment?
Not right now. I'm good.
You don't have any comment.
No, I'm good right now. Thank you.
Jameson?
You know, Grosse Ile is a community. It's why I moved here. I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago, I ran the half marathon, got done with it, and told my fiance at the time that we needed to pack all of our stuff and move because I thought it was such a beautiful place. Our kids were, I don't know, 6, 7 years old, so safety was a big deal. Grosse Ile needs community policing. It needs someone who knows our kids, someone who knows our families, someone who knows the differences, the things that make Grosse Ile different and an interesting place to live. And I think Lieutenant Pelland is the most qualified applicant to do that. I agree with the police commission. And I think he may be the only person to ever be recommended 3 separate times for a position. So he has my support.
Thank you, Jameson. Carl?
We are here tonight to look for, hopefully, the end of the trail for a new chief. I sat in on the interviews that were conducted by the police commission. We had 3 people. All 3 of those people were very impressive. 2 of those people were internal candidates, and I honestly believe that there is no bad decision among those 2 internal candidates. I found the external candidate to offer a sense of distance and perspective where there would be no politics. I, in fact, warned the board in June during a meeting that we had in the small conference room that it would do a tremendous disservice to put politics into the center of this. I look at that and I feel the same thing applies today. When I look at interviews, and they're only one measurement of an individual at a specific time, in a specific place, but I have to look at how instructive they can be. And we're not hiring a public speaker, we're not hiring a detective, we're not hiring a DARE officer, we're hiring a leader. And I look at what goes into being a leader. I am the first to say that Ken Pellin has done an outstanding job as a police officer for Grosse Ile. Whether it was as a patrol officer or an organizer of some of our open houses, I said on numerous occasions, I look at Ken and say, Ken, have to have something done. Can you do it? And Ken quoted me and said, you know, you told me you look for the busiest man in the room because he can get it done. And I still believe that today. However, being a successful police officer, a DARE officer, spokesman for the community through the police department, doesn't necessarily qualify you to be the next chief of police. I think those are all things that you have to consider, but I don't believe that they are definitive as to how the process should go. I mentioned earlier interviews. I have had the pleasure of sitting in on dozens and dozens and dozens of interviews for Grosse Ile Police, whether it was an initial hire, a dispatcher, all the way up to police chief. One of the interviews that impressed me the most was with Pete Darsnick. You'll know that Pete is married to Ann Darsnick, who is our chief financial officer. When Pete was hired as our dispatcher, there was a lot of snickering that went on because Pete got his job because of who he knew and who he was married to. When Pete applied to be a police officer for Grosse Ile, I asked Pete very bluntly, how did you deal with that? There had to be people out there that simply said, Pete, you're here because of who you live with. How did you respond to that? And Pete gave the best interview answer of anybody I've ever heard. And he simply said, I showed them. I showed them what I can do. I didn't quarrel with them. I didn't argue with them, but I showed them. And I've thought about that during this process, particularly with the interviews that I saw at the police commission level this last time. And I sat in, as did other members of this board. Mike certainly is the liaison. Uta came in, and Jameson and Dave Nadeau. We all saw the interviews. This isn't a matter of about personal politics or personal feelings, but it's about what I saw for me. And what I saw were two candidates. One candidate that has an incredible history with the township, and I respect everything you've done, Ken. And we had another candidate that has had an incredible career in law enforcement as well. That's reflected by the fact that it was so close a call that the very first straw poll included Chairman Anderson and Liaison Jarecki saying, well, Ken Pellin is our guy. It's close, but he's our guy. And then we had two other commissioners, Jeff Hubbard and the original Scott Longton, who came out and said, I believe the best leader is Doug Carmack. And I think Doug Carmack is the best person for the job. The fifth vote was that of Erick Renka. Erick went third in time and third in place, but deferred because he wanted to hear the comments that everybody else had to say. And Erick ultimately weighed his decision by saying, if I were hiring a person tonight or recommending a person for hiring tonight that was a business leader, I would choose Doug Carmack. If I were hiring a person tonight who is going to be a police officer, a chief, then I have to go forward with Ken Pellin. What I look for in a leader is show me. Don't tell me, show me. In the show me that I'm talking about, I saw during the 27 years that I had the privilege of working with Ken Pellin in the 20-some years that Doug Carmack has been here. They're both outstanding people. But a couple of differences here that strike out at me. When Ken was asked about his accomplishments, he gave very personal, I did this, I did that, and this is what I've done. When I warned the board 8 months ago about the divisive nature of what was going on with the politics, I thought that would do great damage to our department. And for a number of months, it has been reported that the morale in the department is very low. It's terribly low, and it's because of a lot of the politics that are going on here. When I saw the interview and listened to the interview that Mr. Carmack had, he came out with a statement as to why will you make a difference? How will you make a difference? And Mr. Carmack said, I have 5 things that I want to change and have changed as I have been doing this acting chief thing. I want to go ahead and change the fact that we have platforms where only one person can access them. He made that change while he was the chief, acting chief. He went ahead and looked at the armorer. We have officers that have armor, belts, all the equipment, the vests, the helmets, and it was scattered throughout 3 different locations in the department. And the question becomes, why? We had one go bag that would suit 2 people. Mr. Carmack was a sergeant. He was not a member of management, but he was a sergeant. But as acting commander, he said, I'm going to change that, and we now have 5 go bags that are all stored in one place. Mr. Carmack looked at the fact that we had an antiquated payroll system that required handwritten time cards and handwritten submissions to the township, which were then analyzed in the treasurer's office, and then they were sent back. And I think it was Mr. Carmack that said Jessica Hancock, the new administrative confidential secretary, has to take a ruler and make sure all the numbers are done right. And it was Mr. Carmack who said, why don't we use the keyboard system? You know, it comes on a computer. We can have this done and send this down there right now. The next question was, why are we paying for GPS systems on vehicles we don't own? I've changed that, was the response. When I look at what happens by showing me and not by telling me, don't give me platitudes. Show me what you can do and what you have done in a position of leadership. Now, when I warned about a division within the department, much of this division has been caused by politics and people within the department taking various positions with various candidates. Only one person here tonight has not been mentioned. He hasn't sung his praises. He hasn't done anything to promote himself with the community or with the township board by saying, look what I've done. Ken, I respect what you've done, and you have done a lot. But at the end of the day, when I look at the campaign that's been on Facebook, I look at the campaign with all the people out there that have never met Doug Carmack, that don't know him, the number of people in here that could not name a half a dozen of our officers or dispatchers. Only time I have heard anything from Mr. Carmack is, don't put this in the middle. This should not be politics. This should not be the department. We are not here to make a new man a speaker or a detective or anything like that. We are electing, to me, what is the most important position in the township government. And that is, who do we have that's led by example? Respectfully, with all the politics that are out there, it took one man to say stop. We lost a chief that was here for 24 months in Mark Warnick, a very good man. We lost a second chief who was here for 11 months. Brent Harden.
Wasn't a chief.
Acting chief for 11 months. And we lost them because of the political issues within the department. And the only person that could have stood up and said, stop it, I can do this on my own, did not do that. That is a problem for me with leadership. A leader is a person who leads and takes command and says, enough is enough. That has not happened. I therefore cannot support the recommendation of the Police Commission based on what I've seen and what I feel, what I value. And what I'm asking is that this board send back to the Police Commission a directive to give us another recommendation, and that be done within 10 days.
Jim, can I speak?
Hold it, quiet, quiet, quiet.
Jim,
Quiet.
please?
No. You had your comments, he had his.
Well, I got to respond to that.
No, you don't have to respond
think I
to it.
need
No,
to
you
respond
don't,
to it.
because we're not going to turn this into an arguing
Just
session.
did.
No, he made his comments. He made his comments.
I just want to talk about a little history, okay? And so, this,
Mike,
can I?
Mike,
Jim,
please.
I've seen it. If you read your book, and maybe Uta can help you with it on whatever rules of conduct on a board, I get a chance to talk again when something's directed at my recommendation. Please, follow your rules.
Mike, please,
Follow the
please,
rules.
I'll come back to you after other people have
Okay,
had their
I'm fine with
chance.
that.
I'll
I'm
come
fine with
back
that.
to you.
I'm fine with that.
All right. Don't let me forget.
I won't.
Well, I'm asking Mike because he's the only one that can remind me. David?
Thank you. I was also present at the Police Commission meeting where they conducted the interviews for police chief with the 3 candidates, 2 internal and 1 external. I've also received many phone calls, conversations with residents concerning this position. I've talked to current and former members of the police department. I've discussed this with employees of the township just to get more of an insight into their past experiences with these candidates. And then I looked at the police department by numbers, measured by numbers of employees, is the largest department in the township. They have an annual budget of about $4 million, a payroll somewhere between $1.4 and $1.5 million, roughly 24 employees. And this position as chief will be to use that budget, that payroll, and those officers, dispatchers, and other employees to provide police services to citizens of this township. I also listened to 2 of the police commissioners at the interview process who described or based their decisions on whether this is a business or not. But if you're running a $4 million operation with 24 employees charged with something as serious as the safety of the citizens of this island, I also view this as a business. I'm looking at it from who can lead this department working within the parameters of the budget, the payroll, the employees, and draw all of those together into one cohesive unit. It's my opinion that I don't believe that Lieutenant Pellin is the right candidate for this position, given the parameters that I've just outlined. I want somebody who can run the budget, who can manage the payroll, who can manage the employees, and bring that department into one cohesive unit. I agree with Trustee Bletcher's recommendation to refer this back to the police commission. That's my comments.
Okay, thank you, David. Please, guys, keep quiet. Let people make their comments. You'll have a chance to speak again. Please, thank you. Uda, do you have anything to say?
I mean, Mr. Sabat, you did want to know reasons, and so you should all be willing to listen to our reasons after we've listened to yours. I will start off by saying that Lieutenant Pelland is a good police officer, and I've worked with him, you know, as long as I've been clerk, nearly 20 years. And I know that what you bring to this community is valued and valuable. And many of your testimonials that you have repeatedly and continuously brought to our board meetings on Zoom and here obviously affirm that. You have strong feelings for Ken Pelland and what he has brought to you individually in his capacity as a police officer serving this community. And I don't want you to think that that doesn't resonate with me, because it does. Because he has also worked with my children and my family and made an impact on our lives that is positive and good. I do not contest that he has performed his duties well, and he has won the support of many like you in this community. But that said, I also recognize that police officers don't operate in a vacuum, and their duties are directed and supported and supervised also by the department's management team, as well as the township managers and the supervisors, the police commissioners, under which our officers serve. They don't do things on their own. You know, they're not unilateral. Our police officers work as part of a team. Our process to hire a new police chief began with the retirement of Chief Mark Warnick 2 years ago. And at our last board meeting, someone on this board mentioned it was the biggest mistake we ever made. Well, what a nice thing to say. Chief Warnick served this township a long time as a police officer. He rose up to the challenge of chief, and I think he served honorably as chief during some difficult times in policing, when we had racial justice demonstrations on Macomb Street. But almost from the outset of this search for a new chief, there has been an organized public campaign by a vocal and energetic group of residents and non-residents alike to try to win this police chief appointment for Ken Pelland. I've never seen anything like that in my life. We've hired so many people here at this township. Never has there been a public campaign on which manager to hire for the township, which deputy clerk I should hire, which rec director should we hire. Unprecedented. And while it was endearing, as I said before, to hear people speak of their positive personal experiences with Ken Pelland during this process, it was also extremely shocking and disconcerting to hear board colleagues, police commissioners, some of our resident and non-resident critics try to win this appointment via intimidation and threats of recalling board members and legal action during township board meetings, during police commission meetings, and on online social media posts. All of this is on the public record. You just have to find it. Lieutenant Pelland's qualifications and merits have become totally overshadowed by this cloud of noise from this presumably well-meaning entourage, and it allowed his candidacy to become weaponized against his employer. It is this failure of leadership that I believe has no place in the office of a police chief or any government employee. Lieutenant Pellin had the time and the opportunity to call off the supporters and their campaign in order to win his,
That makes sense.
in order,
Please, let her, no, come on, Mark. Mark, you're entitled to your opinion, but keep it to yourself right now. Go on, Uda.
he could have called off your campaign and said, I want to win this on my own merits. After the record that Mike Jarecki just read to us, that's quite a record. And I think Ken could easily have become chief on his merits alone. But the more noise that came out of this campaign, the more I realized this is not the kind of person that is going to run a successful police department. I was expecting Ken at some point to say thank you for your support, but I was just doing my job. Yet he failed to do so. Instead, he has let this organized steamroller with threats against the township that employs him continue for the better part of 2 years. And it's led to some powerful divisions, not just on this board, but in the community and on the police department. I would be remiss in my role as a trustee of this township in hiring a police chief or any manager who enabled a campaign that attempts to hold hostage or disrupt the actions of the township manager, the township administration, the township board at any time now or in the future, simply because they don't agree with him or his recommendations. And I'll be honest, your comments in these last 5 minutes, you have proven my point. Thank you.
Thank you, Uda. Thank you, Uda.
My turn again?
Your turn again,
Jim, I haven't talked yet. Jim?
Joe wants to talk.
I haven't talked yet. I would like
You
to.
didn't want to.
Yeah, well, I do now. So
Well, Joe,
I'll begin
do you mind?
speaking.
Mike, do you mind?
No, Mike doesn't mind.
I
You
encourage
even
it.
talk for Mike. That's great, Joe. Go ahead.
You know, I want to first say I respect Ken Pellin. I respect Doug Carmack. And Doug will even admit I had a hand in taking him and bringing him from Wayne County Sheriff's Department to our department. I recommended him. I even got him the paperwork to fill out, I believe. I respect both you gentlemen to the nth. This isn't about you, either of you. There's a saying that, you got the right to remain silent in life, and I just don't have the ability. And I have never heard so much bull crap in my entire life. I have never heard... I wish you would be honest, some of you, and just say, look, I'm still going to hold a grudge against Ken Pellin because of the lawsuit that the township got spanked so hard on. He did his job. He did it well. And in 2018, I recommended him. There was no bias from me, but I didn't get the chance to recommend him. You didn't use 6710. You just used it on your own. And Uta, on those two police chiefs, let me tell you something. You cannot ignore what they did to this police department and what occurred out here. And if you think they're at home right now because of politics, there's another word for it. Okay, you better get it straight when you talk about people like that and badmouth people up here, because I'm not going to take it from you ever, and I'm not going to take it from anyone. You got to put your feet in the sand sometimes in life, and this is ridiculous. I love both these guys. That's not about these guys. It's about the process. You twisted and turned this process for 14 months, I believe it's been. It didn't work out the way you wanted it to, so now you've got to come on. If Ken was handing out $20 bills, you'd say they're wrinkled. That's the problem. It isn't going to work. You've come up with every excuse in the world, and there's 3 of you here that have never sat down with Ken Pellin and asked about his vision. You got it third hand. What's that called, counselor, down on the end, when you get something third hand in court? That's hearsay, and you can't use it. There's some of you that have never sat with Ken Pellin. A couple of you haven't sat with Ken Pellin in years to get what his vision is. So I don't want to hear nothing you said on that side has held water. I think Mike's have held more than water, but I'm just telling you, this is absolutely ridiculous. I'm embarrassed for what you've done in the last 12 months. To say I have a bias, I picked the most qualified guy in 19 when I left. Didn't get a chance to pick him because you didn't go by the right process. But I'm going to tell you this. He was head and shoulders above everybody then. He was head and shoulders a year ago. That's where this started, a year ago. And I'm going to tell you, you come up with these ways, these twists, these turns, there was bloviating for the last half hour, 45 minutes. And you know, to say that we bullied, Uta, you use that all the time. I bully you. How are we going to bully each other on this board? We bully. We ran people out of town. What are we, gangsters, mobsters? No, we do our job, and we do what we think's best for the community. That's where I vote here. That's why I ran. Who took more political crap than me from the last board? I didn't run away from it. After 36 years of police work, I think I'm entitled to retire. You can spin that all you want. After being the chief for 9.5 years and bringing this place, and what Bill Barron did first, I don't know, I thought I saw Bill earlier, but I'm sorry to embarrass you, Bill, but what Bill did for this police department, and I worked upon it and brought it to a place, and then it went right in the toilet the next 2.5, 3 years. That bothers me. And to say that we bullied people and they ran out of here, that we politically ruined people is ridiculous. I don't know what else you can say about this, but to me it's all garbage. I wish you'd just be honest and say, you know, we've held a grudge against Ken. We're going to keep holding it no matter what happens. That's it.
Former police chief knows best.
So you don't agree with Uta?
I think not. I think not.
Mike?
I really don't know where to start on this. Let's just say I think we know when it started. It was the first time they circumvented the police commission back in 18. Didn't even give us a chance to make a recommendation. If they would have, all these problems that we have today, we wouldn't have. These issues were created by the board. Let's face it. There are a couple people here that are talking with great authority about things they know nothing about. And that number one thing is this thing called leadership. Okay? Carl, you know nothing about leadership. And Uta, neither do you. I get sick to my stomach listening to it. So here, let me just be honest and straight and frank, okay? That commission, the people that sit on that commission have over 120 years of high-level executive leadership. They select leaders based on their ability to lead. They select them based upon their past accomplishments because that's the best indicator of future accomplishments. That is what we have done. We have done it 3 times, okay? We first done it in 18. We won't even mention that. But if you would have put the candidate that we selected in the chief of police position, we would have none of these problems. These problems were created by this board and their political ambitions and their political agendas, and that's it. It is not Ken Pellin's fault. It wasn't Warnick's fault, okay? But the department has gone downhill, and the divisiveness was created by this board and their inability to do the right thing for the community. And the right thing for the community back then was Ken Pellin. The right thing for the community right now is Ken Pellin. You have the chief of police that supervised all these people. And what was his recommendation, Joe? As you, of the people that are here, Carmack, Warnick, Ken Pellin, who did you want for the next chief based on leadership and contributions and everything else?
And my recommendation back then and a year ago was Ken Pellin, yes.
Yeah, there you go. Leaders. Leaders pick leaders, okay, because you know why they do it? Because they're greedy. They do it because they're greedy. Because when you pick a leader and you hire somebody as a leader and they report to you and they don't perform, guess what happens to you? You don't do very well. And that's what these guys on the commission have done. I hate to say it, you got two CEOs, you got a plant manager, you got a guy that's a executive vice president of business development for a large OEM company. They pick leaders for a living. They never would have gotten to those positions if they didn't know how to pick leaders. You don't pick leaders. I'm sorry, Uta. You have no real experience in doing that. So don't talk like you do. I get tired of hearing it. That's all I got to say.
All right, thank you, Mike. Anybody else have any? Well, hang on.
I have a rebuttal.
Go ahead.
Beat the dead horse?
I'm gonna beat the dead horse because Carl mentioned politics, and the politics he's talking about is 4 members of this board voting against the police commission's recommendation 14 months ago. That's the politics that you brought up. Not only that, the township clerk is chastising the public for exercising their right to air their grievances against their government. And finally, Ken couldn't show you because he was hospitalized, which you pointed out in this boardroom 6 months ago. All right. Thank you, Mr. Supervisor.
Thank you, Jameson. First of all, this board has never voted on the police chief.
Hide it.
Well, you know, here's the thing. Here's the thing to that. Here's the Mike.
No, Jim, don't yell at me.
Mike,
I don't work for
please,
you.
please, Mike.
Don't tell the truth. And I
Mike.
won't say anything.
Mike, please. If you don't interrupt, I'd like to say something. Oh, now, yeah, you guys, first of all, you guys don't want to hear the truth. You want to hear what you want to hear. You want to hear what you want to hear. That's just my personal comment on that. As to the vote, we never did vote on a police.
You want me to go through the history, Jim?
Mike, are you going to let somebody else talk? Please hold your tongue. You've had plenty of time to talk. No, Mike, just be quiet for a minute and let me say something. I think Mr. Malvesto asked me to talk. Please let me do that. First of all, as to that, you guys say we were doing something. We were playing games. If we follow your theory, what we should have done is right after you guys made your recommendation, which in fact there wasn't an action item to make a recommendation, but that's okay. You didn't follow your procedure. But you made a recommendation. We never voted on it. If we wanted to, would Ken Pellin be chief? According to you, we were against Ken Pellin. So all we had to do, hold a quick meeting, have a vote, and we'd have somebody else for chief. We didn't do that. Things came up and we put it off for various reasons. Oh, really? And that's because, unfortunately, everybody out there, and I'm certainly, you are bright people, but you don't have the information. And so it was put off for valid reasons. We could have gone, had the vote, and I'm telling you, according to what everything you guys have said, Ken Pellin would not be chief today.
I fully expect to lose tonight, okay? Just for the reasons that we've been talking about, politics.
And
100% politics.
And Mike,
I wish you just would have listened to the speech that you gave in 218, how it was important not to circumvent, listen to your commissions, how disgusted you were, and everything else.
And in fact, that's exactly what we've done today. That's exactly what we've done in this process. You're looking for a scapegoat. Your commission has made a recommendation. That's what they're supposed to do. So how have we circumvented anything?
Well, we've done it today, yeah.
How did
thank
we
God.
circumvent anything?
We
It doesn't say anywhere that the board just rubber stamps the recommendation. It doesn't say that. How? What? Okay, I'm not going to answer that now. But I'll tell you what. You bring it up. You bring it up at public comment. No, okay. I wanted to know how. I was asking how because we followed the procedure we've always followed. Okay. All right. This, go back to the announcement for the job. It was a hire. It was not a promotion.
It's always a hire until you put somebody in from inside.
Yeah, okay. I'm telling you, it was a hire. We had our legal opinion. How should we handle this?
We need a new lawyer too. That's an
Oh, good. We're going to start insulting other people. Please
I'm just
stop.
telling you.
Please stop with the insults. Yeah. Please stop. All right. So,
Jim, why don't we call the question on this? I think we've just gone long enough. I know where this is going.
okay.
Can we
okay.
do this, Jim?
No, let me. No.
Gentlemen,
Can I call the question?
We have listened to everybody else in this room, or
I'll
at
make
least
it
given
very
them
quick.
chance to speak.
I'll make it very
So
quick.
you deserve the chance to speak.
I'll make it very quick. I myself have been threatened on this. I've been insulted over and over, and I expect more insults tonight. And they even, along with that, there's been an attempt to intimidate me and the rest of the board. Because what you guys are failing to understand is all 7 of us up here were voted in to do what we think is best for the island. This is an issue where we all have our opinion, different opinions. But what we're getting is some of you, being 3 at least, and you're putting me in there, don't have a right to our opinion. We have to do what you want. We have to do what the other 3 want, or else we're terrible people. You call us anything you want, but it's only because we're not doing what you want, and that isn't how it works. It works with each one of us having a right to our opinion and to vote what we think is best for this community. And I truly believe all 7 of us tonight, all 7, are going to vote what they think is best for this community. Now, you may agree with some of the people that vote one way or some of the people that vote the other, but I'm telling you, I truly believe Mike and Joe and Jameson and Dave and Uda and Carl and myself are going to vote for what we think is best for this community. And I hope everybody up here does that. As to the chief position, I think as far as the board, we all saw the interviews. I watched them. I wasn't there in person, but I saw them on, social media. Pardon me? That was nice of you.
They could have been held here and been filmed for everybody.
Okay. All right, please. Yes, the police commission changed it. So.
No, actually, I wanted them here.
No, wait.
Yeah, you changed it for me. I wanted them here. The interviews. Period. I wanted it filmed so the public could see it.
And who changed it?
We weren't allowed to come in here.
What?
The fire commission.
Well, you could have moved it,
I had nothing to do with that, and that's what bothers me the most is your inaccurate statements. However, if I may, because I'll get through quickly so we can go to a vote, I think we all, as I said, we all saw the interviews. We all have an opinion. What I want to see in the next chief of police, and I think it's important for this township, is someone who will bring the department together and not divide it. I want someone who puts the department first ahead of himself. That's what I'm looking for in the next chief. That's all I got to say.
Jim, if I can say one thing then too.
Sure.
The divide you talked about, and I'm sorry, but I'm going to say it again anyway. If I'm going to go down, I'm going to go down in flames. That, no. I mean, Uta doesn't like because the picks that were made absolutely made that police department almost get flushed down the toilet. But it was the picks that were made, not by the police commission. And that's important. And you said there's a divide. The divide was because of the last two police chiefs. The buck stops in that office, period. And if they can't handle the politics, they can't handle what's going on, and they can't fix the problems, then they should be at home. And that's exactly where they're at. I'm sorry. But those were not the picks from the police commission being interviewed, going through the Township Ordinance 6710. Those were picks by the Township Board from a back room, and then I don't even want to get into the second one, who was I call him the interim chief. I have respect for him. I call him the acting or interim chief anyway. I don't know what you want to call him, Jim, but he was still there in that.
He wasn't voted chief.
He was in that position. But
he was running it just like, whoever we have running it right now.
I get it, but that's the issue. It wasn't picked by the police commission.
No, it wasn't.
Okay, that's it then.
Their job is to pick the chief position. An interim, they don't pick. So, the last two police chiefs was actually Joe and Mark Warnick. So, and you're right. And that was one of my beefs, is they didn't follow the procedure of getting a recommendation from the commission. I absolutely was up in arms about that. We have a recommendation from the commission. It's a recommendation. Clearly, it's stated the board can do whatever they want with the recommendation. In fact, police recommendation, every commission in our township makes recommendations to the board. The board votes on them up or down. They don't have to rubber stamp a recommendation. That's the way it works. So I would hope that you people out there, the people on the board, understand everybody here has a right to their opinion, has a right to vote the way they want. And that's what we're going to do. And unless there's any more comment by the board, we will vote.
Jim, you said I could speak.
There's a motion on the floor to call the question. It has been duly seconded.
That's not how it works. We don't need that. We don't need a call to question. We'll just vote.
I'm going to say something. I'm not going to raise my voice.
All right.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mike.
I'm appalled by the fact that we're hearing that phenomenal community support is a bad thing. You see, to me, I want a police chief that's not looking out for himself, is looking out for the department, but most of all looking out for the community. And I guarantee you that is the single reason why every single person in this room is here tonight, because they have been touched by that man in a very powerful way. The schools, their children, whatever. And I don't know how anybody could describe that as a negative. And yes, there are some people that are quite liberal on social media and speak their minds, but it is not incumbent upon Ken Pellin to say, I don't want to hear that stuff. I don't want support. Support from we're here for the community. We're not here for this department. We're not here for the township offices. We're not here for the police department. We're here to do what's best for the community.
I would hope so.
And that's what Ken Pellin's all about, and I'm done.
Okay, thank you. And again, I would merely say that I would hope everybody here that votes tonight on this board is voting that way for what they think is best for the community. We're here to represent the whole community. And I'm not counting, but I don't think there's 10,000 people here. Saw what?
Then let's vote.
Are we ready to vote?
Yes.
Mike, do you have anything else? Okay. Then we'll do the vote. And this will be a roll call vote. I am about to. We have a motion before us. The Grosse Ile Township Board hereby approves the promotion of Lieutenant Ken Pellin to Grosse Ile Township Chief of Police following satisfactory completion of job requirements. And with that, Joe?
Yes.
Jameson?
Aye.
David?
Nay.
I vote nay. Uda?
Nay.
Carl?
No.
And Mike?
Aye.
The motion fails, and we will be asking the police commission to give us a different recommendation.
Who's the acting police chief right now?
I believe there isn't an acting police chief. Doug Carmack was involved. Now that Lieutenant Pellin is back, he is in charge. They're making that transition until a police chief is picked. Holy shit. Oh, here we go. Moving on. Action item.
What do I do with it?
Action item. No, what I'm trying to figure out, Derek. Yeah, would this be would this be more in the police?
No, I can handle it.
Well, we need community development. Is that what it'd be under?
We can do it there.
Okay, then David, would you please read the action item?
Yes. The Grosse Ile Township, am I on one? Yeah. The Grosse Ile Township Board hereby accepts a bid from Community Renovations totaling $17,899.40 for the restoration of bathrooms at the township-owned property at 19130 Meridian Road.
Second.
Hey, Dave.
Uh,
History?
This is the house that was donated to the animal shelter, and this is the last remaining work necessary for restoration of the property before it's a final step to make it ready for sale. This is going to ServPro. No, I'm sorry, Community Renovations. ServPro did the original work on the house. The work specified in the attached bid request will bring the bathrooms into functional condition, which is necessary for a successful sale. The recommended cost includes tile in the downstairs bathroom rather than fiberglass surround. This is anticipated to assist in increasing the overall sale price at an amount greater than the additional cost over the fiberglass surround. Only one bid was received for this work. ServPro submitted a budget estimate but declined to formally bid. And the only bid was from Community Renovations.
Derek, do you have anything else to add to that?
No, Dave covered it pretty well.
All right.
Yes.
Questions from the board? Uda?
Just one quick question. Obviously, it says here the costs are to come from the sale revenue, so it'll just be a transfer out of our budget, and when the property is sold, that money will go back in.
Correct, yes. And we've been keeping it in a separate account as far as those expenditures, so they'll be tracked very easily to reimburse that account once the sale is complete.
Thank you, Derek.
You're welcome.
Yes.
So this is the same address that's listed in the next action item with the independent appraisal of 600 grand. So do we really think we're going to recapture tile bathrooms in the basement on a house that's over $500,000? It seems like it's kind of a wash when you're talking.
I think
we're going to squeeze an extra $5 grand out of the homeowner or the buyer because of the tile bathrooms.
You know, part of, I think, the interest in the township is expedient sale of the property. So I think it's more than just a value item. It's more also an attractiveness and, you know, interest.
That makes
value.
sense.
Yep.
Wasn't it such a mess, though? I mean, it had to be redone, Derek.
ServPro did some remediation work in the bathrooms, which involved ripping out some of the stuff. This is kind of to put some of the finishing touches on that.
And it's more in line with what they've done throughout the whole house.
Correct. That's correct.
We don't want
That's
to.
correct.
I would say we don't want to go cheap on this last piece to get it so we can throw it out there. It's more in line with the way the rest of the house has been done. And actually, the cost to us so far has really been amazingly cheap for all the work that had to be done on that house to get it, to get it ready for sale.
That's a very valid point. The tile is more in line with the fit and finish of the remainder of the home, so it definitely fits better with the overall appearance of the property.
Okay, that satisfies my question.
Anyone else? Questions? Not hearing any. We have a motion that the Grosse Ile Township Board hereby accept a bid from Community Renovations totaling $17,899.40 for the restoration of bathrooms at the township-owned property at 19130 Meridian Road. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? The motion passes. David.
The motion for the Grosse Ile Township Board to approve a proposal from Century 21 River Point to broker the sale of the property located at 19130 Meridian on behalf of the Township of Grosse Ile.
Support.
Thank you. And, yeah,
Once the previously approved bathroom renovations are completed, this property on Meridian will be ready for sale. And in the interest of achieving the highest return and quickest sale, the township has interest in utilizing a real estate company. With this in mind, the township developed a formal RFQ for Realtor Services. A copy of the proposal is attached to the packet. Only one proposal was received, and although the township would have preferred multiple proposals, the one bid received is from a reputable and very capable firm. Offered rates, commission percentages, etc., are comparable to the industry standard. In the interest of full disclosure, the broker assigned to this property by Century 21 River Point will likely be Trista Cordes Redfield, who is married to a township employee, Julie Cordes Redfield.
That's the only broker available for it?
They're the only ones that responded to the RFQ.
I'll let Derek talk to that. It was out to all the brokers on the island.
We went through the formal bidding process on this, and this is the one we received. Matter of fact, the timelines on the bidding follow the same as the BAP.
I find, and I think this is one thing we're running into on a lot of bids, and we have to reverse it, that people kind of get in their mind, well, they're putting in for it, they're going to get it, why bother? And we absolutely have to reverse that, because it's getting more and more difficult for us to get multiple bids on anything. So, but that is what happened. The only bid we got was this. Other questions? Hearing none. We have a motion. The Grosse Ile Township Board hereby approve a proposal from Century 21 River Point to broker the sale of property located at 19130 Meridian Road on behalf of the Township of Grosse Ile. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? That passes. Thank you. Number 3, David.
Thank you. Like to make a motion based upon a recommendation by the Grosse Ile Department of Public Services Commission that the board hereby approves a contract extension between Gullet Sanitation and the Township of Grosse Ile for the decanning and hauling of biosolids for the Grosse Ile wastewater treatment plant for fiscal year 2022 to 2023.
Second.
Thank you, Uda.
And I'll let Derek take that one.
Derek, you want to let us?
This
fill
is
us in?
this is an annual expenditure, a budgeted expenditure, and without getting into too much detail, because I'm sure everybody's not very interested in this. We decant our biosolids at the wastewater treatment plant annually. We bring material in or equipment in to decant that material, and then we ship it out dry. So we have to bind a vendor to do that work. 3 years ago or 2 years ago, we went out to bid, public bid on this specific scope of work. We hadn't gone out to bid in quite some time. Prior to that, Gullet Sanitation was our low bidder by quite a bit. They've agreed to hold their prices for the third year now. There is a bit of value in going with the same vendor year in, year out, or at least for a short period of time. In 3 years, I would consider short with this type of operation, because they understand the plant, they understand the community, they understand the decanting operation, our tanks. our hookup points, transportation on and off the island, and those type of things. So if that vendor is willing to hold the price, we're originally the low bidder 3 years ago by a substantial amount. It's the recommendation of the DPS Commission to go ahead and bind a contract with Gullet Sanitation for a 3rd year. There are some very minor adjustments in costs that are associated with cost components that are outside of their control. Polymer is one thing, and then also the waste area or the landfill that they go to. Last year, I believe they used Republic. Republic quit taking decanted biosolids, so they're going to have to go with Waste Management to be able to take the biosolids. So there will be a difference in price with the eventual disposal cost that basically is passed along to us. So, we don't pay Gullet directly. We'll actually pay the landfill for that disposal. So Gullet doesn't benefit in any way by the increase in costs in these two different components. So, in saying that, this would be an extension of their contract to do our decanting for this fiscal year. Yes.
I'm just, if you can speak to it, this is the industry standard, correct?
As far as?
Well, this is what people do with their bio wastes.
Yeah, there's a couple of different methods. You can land apply in a liquid format. A lot of municipalities and wastewater treatment plant operators are moving away from that because of the reliability issues that come with land applying the material as far as weather impacting it and field conditions. Also, we have issues with PFAS now, so a lot of farmers are not taking this material because PFAS can find its way into your sludge. Land application is now kind of something that we're not doing. And as far as decanting, there are a couple of different methods. This is a belt press method. There's also a centrifuge method. So the removal, decanting, and hauling to a landfill is, to your comment, kind of the industry standard now.
Thanks for clarifying.
Along with it, we also, going the other way, the wet way rather than the dry way, we have a problem. We started this because of the problem with the weight limit on the bridge, because they'd have to use smaller hauling trucks, which means more costs. So that's how we got to this decanting.
Correct.
Anything else? Okay. We have a motion based upon a recommendation by the Grosse Ile Department of Public Services Commission that the Grosse Ile Township Board hereby approves a contract extension between Gullet Sanitation and the Township of Grosse Ile for the decanting and hauling of biosolids for the Grosse Ile wastewater treatment plant for fiscal year 2022-2023. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you. We will get our sludge off the island. Wow.
Intellectual.
Yes. Number 4. Facility and grounds specialist hire, which I believe is for the rec department.
It is.
Mr. David, why don't you take this one?
Grosse Ile Township Board, I'd like to make a motion that the Grosse Ile Township Board hereby approves the hire of Mr. Brian Payette to the position of facility and grounds specialist.
Second.
Okay, just a little background on it.
Yeah, Gene Kowalski, who was the grounds and maintenance individual at Recreation, took a position with, he went to the airport?
Yes.
And that left an opening in the rec department. So this is a union position, so it cleared an internal posting. Then it was posted and advertised. There were 2 applicants. Mr. Payette was selected by the interview panel, and he, Mr. Payette had been a part-time rec employee for, I think, 15 or 16 years. Was it longer than that? Something in excess of that, maybe close to 20 years as a part-time employee. And it's a union position starting at roughly $37,000 a year.
Okay. Derek, you got anything you want to add to that?
All the pre-employment work has already been completed on this, so you're all set.
Do you want to add anything? Okay, Kim. Kim is our rec director.
No, it's been a rough night, and obviously we have a really good person that's worked for the community for 20 years in the rec department, personally under my leadership for 5, as I will be here 5 years in May. And I just want to say that Brian has shown leadership, outstanding work performance, and he is definitely qualified for the position. So I don't want to discredit our hire tonight based upon what was happening tonight. And he is just a great asset to the rec and always has been. This will also go to the CRC for approval. We did have to change our meeting to March 9th. But again, if the Township Board approves this, and then the CRC would approve that on March 9th. So we are kind of working on a little bit of reverse. Normally it's based upon the recommendation of the CRC.
So we would be approving this prior to the approval?
Yes,
of the
that
rec
is correct. Yes.
Pending approval by the rec commission.
By the CRC.
I don't think we should supersede the.
Pending.
It actually should be mentioned in there. I didn't realize that it hadn't.
Pending.
So we'll have to make a friendly amendment to change the wording when we get to that point.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Oh, okay, then
Yep.
we're at that point. David, you want to make an amendment?
I'd like to make a friendly amendment that the Township Board approves the hire of Brian Payette to the position of Facility and Grounds Specialist, pending approval from the CRC, the Community Recreation Commission, at their meeting on March 9th.
Brian,
You got it?
are we all set on that? Okay. That is the motion. That's gonna be the motion. So,
We don't
do
need
we,
a new second, do we?
no,
So I guess
Yeah.
my question, just.
Go ahead. No,
since
please.
that's come up.
Please,
is,
yes.
Is there a reason we're doing this tonight and not waiting for the CRC to make its recommendation?
My trustee, Mr. Dayton, just wanted to get the process going because spring is here and we definitely need to fill this position. And I've spoken with the CRC, all of them know who he is. I feel very confident that the CRC will vote in favor of Mr. Payette.
And he'll start work the next day.
Okay, so you don't want to wait till the next Township Board meeting, which would.
Board meeting, we have a study session and then
Yeah.
budget hearing, and I am out of town at that time, so.
That would be okay, because Mr. Nadeau would be doing the action item.
Again, given
Yeah.
all our discussions about process today,
Yeah, I won't vote.
I
won't
think
vote
that we
for
really
this.
should wait and do this after the CRC
Do I-
brings this to the Township.
Okay. Yeah. Do I hear any motion or movement to table this?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Action item number 4 is tabled.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next meeting's March 14th, correct? Thank you.
Maybe we should do a 5-minute recess before the reports and additional public comment.
I have no problem with that.
I'd just like to finish.
Just like who? And what's the thought on the board?
I'd like to finish.
Finish?
Okay, I can stick it out.
Yeah.
You can go and come back. It's
No, I don't want to be.
just the report.
It's the
Oh,
reports,
yes.
so if you wanna, go ahead. We'll make you last. Okay, all right, which brings us to the reports. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. It's a short report. Brian has given us the update that there have been changes to our districts. There's been redistricting in the state of Michigan. And so Grosse Ile is now in U.S. Congressional District 6 instead of 12. We are now in Senate District 4 instead of 1.
State Senate.
State Senate, I'm sorry. State Representative District, we are now 27 instead of 23. And the County Commissioner District has stayed the same, it's still 15. But of course, this obviates that you will need new voter ID cards, and those will be coming out to you soon. And while we are doing the voter ID cards, we are taking the opportunity to update addresses. So if your voter ID card goes to a residence other than the place where you live, it'll come back to us, and we will be in that way updating our voter records. And that is, Brian, that's it, right? That's it from the clerk's report.
Thank you. On those different districts, Debbie Dingle is still our federal congresswoman. As far as our state positions, both Darren Camilleri and Stephanie Chang were term limited, so they are not running for those positions again. However, so we'll have a new senator and a brand new state rep this next time around. Treasurer's report.
Thank you. As of this date, all 2021 unpaid real property taxes are now considered delinquent and must be paid directly to Wayne County with the applicable penalty fees. The Wayne County online payment link is waynecounty.com/PTA, and that is currently loaded with the delinquent tax information. Payments can be made directly to Wayne County online at waynecounty.com/PTA, by mail, or at the Wayne County kiosk located in the Sunoco Brownstown, located at 21980 Sibley Road.
David, are you going to have those up on either the treasurer's page or the website?
I believe they are already on the treasurer's page.
Okay.
All delinquent personal property taxes are paid to Grosse Ile Township. Statements will be sent out by our office in early April to those businesses with delinquent personal property taxes. And as of today's date, we have collected 96.6% of the total 2021 tax roll, with all applicable distributions timely made. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Trustees reports, starting with Joe.
I sit on the Airport Commerce Park Commission, and Janelle is settling in very well. Also, I wanted to say what I've noticed, and as you know, the airport is self-sufficient. It's an enterprise system, and so there's no tax dollars from the township that goes to them to run it. And her collection efforts recently have been incredible. I have to say that I haven't seen this from anyone else in that position like that. As you know, she is a fiduciary of their money, obviously, and again, there's no tax dollars, but they've had some issues with some of the leases, and she's just done an excellent job in that. She's still getting her certifications. Derek, is there anything I missed from the last certification? I'm not sure, but so anyway, the meetings for that, usually we have them the third Monday of the month at 6 o'clock in this room. A couple of them have been changed just due to a conflict in this room. So it'll be on the website if anybody's interested in it. So thank you. That's it.
All right, thank you, Joe. Jameson, you're back.
I am, and better. So I sit on the Zoning Board of Appeals, and they met this month on the 22nd. Unfortunately for them, I was getting married that day, so shout out to my new wife, Jade. Also, that was extremely embarrassing for her. So, one of the things that I do on ZBA is review residents' requests to receive a variance from an ordinance. And several things have come up a couple times. One of them solar panels, and we've already kind of worked through that. But another one of the items that I hear residents talk about quite a bit is boats in driveways and whether that's okay or terrible, and fences 6 feet in height. So if there's any residents that want to talk to me about boats or fences, go ahead and get a hold of me. My email is available on the website, and I'm always available on Facebook. So, and that's all I have.
And I believe those items and maybe some more, we will be talking about them, I hope.
Yes, we will, but I'm looking for input on boats and fences.
That's good. And those are probably the 2 leaders. Those are of the items. Those are probably the 2 leaders.
But those are the contentious ones. So.
Okay. Thank you, Jameson. Did you need to leave again? Or? No, you're good. Okay. All right. Carl.
I have the pleasure of sitting on Greenways Open Space as well as Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory. Jameson, I'd like to be the first tonight to congratulate you and Jaden. 2/22/22 was such a cool date to remember.
Thanks,
Congratulations to you. The second matter I have is Greenways Open Space will be meeting tomorrow night, March 1, 2022, 7 p.m. inside this room. We're going to be passing a budget and taking care of business for the next year with our year in review, as well as the naming of a chair. Third matter is with the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Commission. You may recall that approximately 4 months ago, Mary Bowling did a small write-up as to what they would like to do with extending a bike path or sidewalk from Parkway along West River, Bellevue to Meridian. That was originally to happen last week, but we had the snow and ice storm. She was coming up from Monroe, as well as Mike and Laurie, our broadcasters, were coming up from the northern end of Taylor, and prudence dictated that we reschedule that. Normally, that would be the 3rd Thursday of the month. However, Chairman Pollock is headed to Washington, D.C. with the 8th grade class trip, so that will be rescheduled. Fourth matter is presentation of a bicycle path extension along East River from Grow Road South to Detroit River International Wildlife Refuge, commonly known as the Grosse Ile Unit. That presentation was made before the Grosse Ile Airport Commerce Park Advisory Commission, as well as the Grosse Ile Airport Advisory Group. It was informational only. We do not have any solid concrete funding unless and until we have the approval from the grant that has been applied for, and we expect to have the Ralph Wilson confirmation hopefully the first week of April. Finally, the Knights of Columbus approached me today about the fish fry that they have every Friday. That is commencing again at Sacred Heart. You're going to see a lot of these posters around town. Ask that you consider, you patronage them, and that you consider going down there on every Friday, March 4th through the 15th, 4 to 7:30 p.m. Very good dinner, very worthwhile cause. And that concludes my public service announcement and my reports.
Thank you, Carl. Mike.
Yes. We have had 9 applications for a clerk dispatcher, and we'll be recommending that we hire someone at the next board meeting. I know we're going under a budget review right now, and I was extremely disappointed to hear that Mr. Anderson wasn't allowed to attend the budget meeting. I think we need to Uta, maybe you could do a training course on something meaningful, like our Township Code 6710. We have an obligation to be involved from the beginning throughout the entire process. And unless there's a concerted effort to defund public safety by certain board members, which I totally disagree with, and I think the community totally disagrees with, we got to start following our own procedures. We can't be selective about which ones we follow. And it's really, I think, getting to the point where it's a little pathetic. Okay. Deer call's going well. So far, we have a goal of culling 275. We're up to 175. We got a month left, and last year we did 210, so we think we're going to significantly beat that this year. In terms of numbers, we've had 38 citations in January versus 24 last year in January. That's a 58% increase. 73 incoming calls versus 795 last year. That's 8% decrease. We have a great reserve team that worked 80 hours in January, help supplementing some of the deficiencies due to shortage of headcount and budget cuts. Most of that time was serving 4-hour slots patrolling, although they don't arrest people. They're the eyes and the ears of the police department many times, and we only have 8 and we're shooting for 10. And I hope we can get some more applicants, because I think the folks that are involved really enjoy it, and they provide a great service to the community. Okay, that's me. Thanks.
Thank you, Mike. Township Attorney. Thank you, Tom.
Jim, I'm sorry, Jim, I missed something to ask a question to Mike or to, I don't know, maybe Doug. Can I ask real quick? I'm sorry, I'm keeping us here. There was a question, I'm not sure Ken or Doug, that I couldn't answer. The deer culling program, is it calendar? Is it predicated on calendar time? Because I know there's a change from when we were doing it, that they've changed the dates when you can cull. Or is it a total tag amount? In other words, did they give you a length of time or a tag time? I was asked and I couldn't answer that question. Am I saying that right? Do you know what I'm trying to ask? And there was a culling in, was it the fall or early, whatever you call it, early winter, fall? Okay, so if you hit 200, you can't keep going. Okay, that was helpful. Okay, Jim, thank you.
Mr. Supervisor, I can add something to that if you'd like.
Please.
The DNR actually also changed the time frame in which when we could do the winter call. Because there was a late bow season in Wayne County, the DNR asked that we push any call activities until all seasons had concluded in the county. So that's why I got pushed to February versus doing it in January previously.
All right, thank you. That was helpful then. Sorry to slow you up here.
Is that there? Yeah. Very good. Township Manager Report.
Just real quick, the advertisement for the DDA Director and Community Development Director position closed on Friday, so we'll be starting those interviews here shortly. Just as a reminder, we have a budget study session on the 7th, which, not to step on anybody else's reports, but we'll be doing that just as a reminder. East River Road and Meridian, obviously, we've seen a lot of posts on Facebook and whatnot, are an absolute nightmare as far as potholes are concerned. So we've been in contact with the county trying to get them out here. They were out today doing Meridian. They have contracted with Al's Asphalt, so that's why you see a private vendor's truck doing that work. and the county is completely overwhelmed with the amount of cold patch or hot patch work they have to do. So they brought the vendor in to do that work. So Meridian should have been about finished today. Then they're going to move over to East River hopefully tomorrow. So just as a bit of information for the residents. And then we have a DPS meeting on the 8th. That concludes my report.
And did you mention the meeting we have, the board meeting for the 9th?
We are looking at the 9th.
We're going to be on.
We're going to be doing that. So looking at having a meeting on the 9th to meet with legal counsel regarding contract negotiations. So if you recall, at the last meeting we had talked about bringing in somebody. We've got a name. We'd like to discuss that with you. Okay.
All right. Thank you. And Uda, you had a question.
Yeah, Derek, some of the pictures I sent you from East River showed in some of those potholes you can actually see kind of structures coming up from underneath. I don't know much about roads. Are these some of the things that the county might actually look at, not just cold patching temporarily, but possibly resurfacing that stretch from, say, Stout to Ferry?
There was some discussion about doing some paving work on East River this year. The issue that we have right now is with the load limits on the bridge, it makes it very difficult to get paving equipment over. So we need to get resolution on that before we can really address the paving.
It's gonna be patched. It possibly could be repaved, but that's not gonna happen now. It's getting them patched, certainly.
Getting it patched is certainly a priority.
Yeah.
But just the way, just the severity of what it looks like there, I'm not sure that that's going to hold very long.
Yeah, there'd be more patch in the road than there probably would be road
Than
itself.
there is road.
Based upon what I've seen, so.
And cold patch never lasts long.
Never lasts long. Okay. But thank you for making that effort, both of you.
Anything else, Derek? That's it. Okay. Thank you. Mine will be quick. We talked about the roads. We did get them out. We had been asking them for some time to come out. They have a schedule that they have to follow, so they have they have an area. The garage that handles our stuff has an area. It's not just Grosse Ile, so they have to work us into it. Thank God we got them out here today, and they should be finishing East River tomorrow. Again, it's only cold patch. Not going to last long. They'll probably have to come out and do it again. I do want to, I just personally want to congratulate Jade and Jameson again for their nuptials. That I don't know who's the luckier one.
I do.
I also want to thank all the people that came out today. I want to thank the people that I had a handful of emails that I received on the police chief. I want to thank all of you because it's important that you do come out. It's important that you talk. I know you're going to feel, oh yeah, but you're not listening. No, we are listening. We are. Oh. No, we didn't vote your way, but we are listening. We are listening. So, and you're entitled to your opinion. Well, that's wonderful. And I'm going to let you speak. The only other thing I wanted to mention is this past week I met with Governor Whitmer. There was a meeting of all the mayors and supervisors, and it was just our downriver mayors and supervisors, Gretchen Whitmer and Debbie Dingle. And I was very pleased that neither the governor nor Congresswoman Dingle made it political. It was strictly issue and answer and how the state and federal government could help the communities. A lot of it had to do with all this money that you're hearing about. What you're not hearing is all the strings that are attached and how you don't have just carte blanche to work on your problem. Whether it be, they just opened it up where we can now use, if you get some money, it can be used for roads. Before, infrastructure didn't include roads, which is probably the biggest problem in Wayne County for all our communities. So we talked about them working on the language so that basically when the communities and the cities will get it direct, townships will not get it direct. It will go through the county. But we want it to be able to be used on our problems, not on what the state or the federal decided was our problems. So it was a good meeting anyway. With that, we will open it up to public comment. When we have the people come up, again, name and address, where you live, 3 minutes. And I will cut you off at 3 because there's a lot of people here, and I expect there's a lot of people that want to speak. So if you get to 3 minutes, you will be cut off. We're going to start with Mr. Friel and any comments that he has from emails. Thanks, Greg.
I just have one from Andrew Johnson, 8892 Sarah Lane. The recent freeze-thaw cycles have obliterated sections of East River, making it nearly impassable at times. Many more roads are in similar condition. What is the plan in place to get roads repaired come spring? This is more than cold patch. We need a solid plan and direction in place. We pay taxes. We need better results. East River.
Our East River, by far, East River seems to be the worst of any of our roads this winter. That area from Island to Ferry, just for whatever reason, really got knocked out. I will say that there is going to be a road program being presented to the township residents in the not-too-distant future. Okay, with that, Greg, you were first.
Greg Karmazin, resident Clinton Township, homeowner, taxpayer 21228 East River, Grosse Ile. First of all, I'd like to start on a positive note. I sat in on the bridge engineer study session that took place before this meeting, and I will say that the board did a very good job, a thorough job of discussing the issue with the engineers that responded to the request for proposal. And I think there was a good dialogue by all the members of the board. And I think the engineers that spoke offered some real good ideas, and I hope that the board will follow up on trying to get some professional advice, because it's clear that this township needs to understand those bridges and their complex issues. On the issue of the police chief tonight appointment, obviously it was an emotional issue for many people, and there's a lot more I think I could say, but I just want to start out by saying, on behalf of the community, I apologize to Doug Carmack and Ken Pellin. This never should have become a political process. It's been really embarrassing, quite frankly, at some level. And just for the record, I know some of the members of the board had suggested, oh, this campaign was somehow orchestrated by Ken Pellin. That's absolutely false. It wasn't about Ken Pellin. It was about the police commission and the police commission's recommendation and the process that this community has followed, this township has followed for the last 50 years. That's what it was about. And the police commission, as Trustee Jarecki eloquently said tonight, is in the best position to understand who the best leaders are for that department. And they made a recommendation. And tonight, for the first time since 1974, a recommendation of the police commission that's been made was rejected by a township board. I mean, it's really a dark day in this township board's history. I'd also like to make a point that in terms of politics, the politics started when this board refused to take up the police commission's recommendation in February of 2021. If this board had actually taken up that recommendation, there would have been no campaign. There wouldn't have been any advocacy in the community. It would have been within the police commission and the board, and there wouldn't even been a public spectacle that it's become. Okay, so let's get the facts straight. That's why this became political. It's decisions that this board made, and specifically, Supervisor Budney, when you talked to Trustee Jarecki and you offered the deal, okay, to put Doug Carmack as chief and Ken Pellin as deputy chief, okay, That was the deal that you offered to him. And then, because he said no, he's not going to backtrack on the police
I'm
commission.
sorry, I don't know where you, that was not. No.
Brent Harden, okay.
And that was never
Apologies.
done. That was
I know it
never
wasn't
done.
But it wasn't done because you
No,
wouldn't-
and it was never offered.
Well,
It was never offered. There were various things, and I'm not going to talk. I'm not
Okay,
going to talk
so,
your comment.
so just to correct, it
This
was,
is,
it was,
this
your
is
time
just
is up. I'm
public
sorry.
comment. I'm sorry.
sorry. Your
all
time
right,
is
so, you know, I'm just going to say this last thing.
Yes, go ahead.
And that is that, you know, Mike's father, Jim Jarecki, was like a second father to me. And he served on the police commission for this township for many years. And he was a man of outstanding character and uncompromising values. And I'd just like to say that, Mike, your father would be very proud of you tonight. Very proud of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Yes, ma'am.
Again, I'm Diane Pericol. I live in Lansing. I just want to address a couple things. There's very few people that I would drive 2 hours for. There's very few people that I would sit through 2.5 hours meeting for. And Ken Pelland is one of them. And he has never asked me once to come or write a letter or do any of that. It's almost been me bullying and intimidating him into saying I want to come and give support. I also just want to address one other thing and say that I disagree that a police department should be run as a business, and that in the $1 million in grant funds that Ken managed over the years, I don't believe there was one mistake or one audit finding. So even though a police agency should not be run as a business, he has the ethics to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next. Yes, Luke.
Luke Krauss, 24828 East River Road. Sad night from the standpoint of our commissions. The commissions are the backbone, the help that this board needs, many different commissions. But frankly, I don't know who would want to be on one. You know, it's insulting the way that this has been handled and treated of the police commission. It really is. I mentioned that I had 54 years. There's only a few other people in this room that have as many here on Grosse Ile. And I'm looking here and it says the Merle Solomon Boardroom. I knew Merle Solomon. She was a great friend of my dad, okay? Great woman, great leader. It would do you well to study why her name is on this room. Because she was fantastic for this island. Study her, you'll study leadership. Then you'll understand what leadership is.
Thank you, Luke. Yes, sir.
My name is Jim Camelli, Thoroughfare Road. I have a question about the
Comments or not questions?
okay, a comment about the townships, the Wayne County Bridge. They did the repairs to the bridge, and the weight limit was lowered. And then I did also attended the study session before, but I think the study session is questioning what the county did or didn't do. But I guess I don't understand. I mean, it's like we're being held hostage by these bridges. Last year we had to pay drastic amounts of money to cross the bridge. I paid more. I'm trying to build a house over there in Jewel Colony, and I paid more to transport stone than I did for the stone. And this year I'm trying to line up guys to dig the basement, and I'm getting prices that are 3 times the normal price because they have to bring smaller machines now that the weight limit is, it's 40% of what it used to be. And then sitting in that meeting today, I mean, I don't know when it's ever going to get lifted, if it's ever going to get lifted again. So do you guys receive any information on why they lowered the weight limit and if and when they're going to raise it back to what it was prior to them doing the repairs?
Ellie, if you would give me a call tomorrow, I'll be glad to discuss all. This is a comment section. I'm not answering questions here. If you give me a call, I'll be glad to answer that.
Thank you.
Yes, Kathy.
Kathy Walker, 26051 Thorpe Court. Every member on this board I have supported at one time to get you elected. Every single one of you. But my following comments are going to be about the 4 of you who voted no tonight. No against promoting Ken Pellin to the Chief of Police. And I can guarantee you there'll be future elections. And some of you will be seeking candidacies. I will not be supporting you. I will remember this. And I think a lot of people will remember this. Because each of you are elected to represent us, not your personal opinions. And a lot of people here have very liberal opinions and very conservative opinions. But you're supposed to represent the people. And the people, everybody here wanted Ken. No offense to anybody else who was running. But this was done. I really don't know Ken very well at all. But I saw the resumes. I saw the taped interviews. And taking myself out of Grosse Ile and just looking at it objectively, there was no question who was hands above, especially just starting with that $1 million. You should have liked that, David, getting $1 million. You know, that was great. But anyways, I'm truly disappointed in the 4 of you, and I will not be supporting you in the future.
Thank you, Kathy. Bill.
I don't know if you can see him.
Yeah, when he stood up. Yeah. Yeah, that's giving me problems there. Go ahead, Bill.
I have to say that on this police commission choice, I would have preferred a different outcome. But I have concerns that, I'm not mitigating my concerns for that, but I have a couple of other concerns that I think merit attention as well. It boils down to 1 or 2 words. You have to learn to agree, people. I'm of the opinion that for this future of this community, we need a budget and a plan for the future that also takes a look not only at what the money coming in is, but what the future needs are and what priorities those needs are. And in looking at that future, estimating what those costs will be and asking the question, where do we get the money? You got to make sure that what we get is used well. My own intuition tells me that it's not going to be enough. We talk about roads, and I happen to agree that they're very important. But I think a bridge is more important because you don't have an alternative. If the bridge goes out, there's Swan Island, if they lose their bridge, how are those people going to live? Go over to Elba, it's the same kind of a story. And so we have to keep our priorities straight and know why we're doing it. I'm off my podium here now. I'm not here to beat everybody to death, but I think those are sincere concerns in the best interest of the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Anyone else? Tom Snyder.
Tom Snyder, 8448 Rucker. I wanted to address a couple of things that I heard this evening. First of all, Mr. Drecke, I heard you mention that you thought it was a 5-0 vote with regard to Mr. Pellin, but I believe it was a 3-2 vote based upon the legal part.
Please let him
based upon the
speak.
legal part of the violation that you caused, that the leadership of
Ladies
the police
and
commission
gentlemen,
caused with regard
this is
to
public comment.
with regard
Please be
to
quiet.
The Open Meetings Act. Secondly, with allowing a live feed during that meeting was terrible, and Kathy Walker, you should be ashamed of yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
This is ridiculous. Oh, jeez.
Road.
Mr. Sabat, yes.
Thank you. I just want to address this thing about the budget. You mentioned the budget about the police department. That's an untouchable budget. So is the fire department. Those are the 2 most vital things in this township. You want to cut, you cut around you. Maybe you cut yourself out. Okay? You do not mess with the police department or the fire department. Okay? As far as someone making comments about the township doesn't really have a say, the people of this township are going to be speaking at the election time. Okay, and I'm not trying to be Hillary, but it's not gonna be zero, but you guys are gonna come close to being zero at the next election. And you making comments about dissension, you know why there's dissension? Because 14, 15 months ago, you guys decided to split up the department and cause dissension in the police department. This is the cleanest police department around. Look at those two gentlemen sitting next to each other. You see dissension there? I'm asking you a question. Do you see dissension? No, you don't. So what I'm trying to tell you guys got to clean your act as far as what do I want. It's what we want and what we need. The roads, safety, especially in today's day and age. You got people out there that think they own everybody else's property and belongings and everything else. We got to stick up for ourselves here. And the bridge is something very, very important to us. Okay? Not everybody has a boat, you know, or a place to dock across the river. So as far as the overall impression that you are the trustees leading this city, or this township, you're dragging this township down, the four of you. You got to get your act together. Have you guys ever voted against each other? I don't think so. So, and I made a comment before you made your comment about leader, the speed of the leader determines the rate of the pack. Pellin is a leader. Maybe you ought to define in Webster's, because your name would not appear there. Okay? I've known Pellin on the outskirts, and I've also known him internally. He's never bragged about himself. He led by example. It's just that everybody knows how good he is, and we didn't want to lose an asset like that. Okay? Losing someone like that is surmountable. Losing you is a benefit. So I'm just trying to tell you that you guys got to work together and stop being about what we four are going to do. Mr. Bundy, if you're going to lead, you got to learn how to lead. Because right now, you're messing with the wrong departments. You're looking at the time, good. I hope you can tell time. But all I'm trying to tell you is, you guys are messing with this and messing with that. You want a real good man? You see Derek over there and Brian? They could probably do a better job than all of you four to put together.
Thank you, Mr. Sabat.
Kevin Flavin, Park Lane. First of all, I'd like to say that I also went to the meetings, or the meetings where they had the 3 candidates for police commission, and I was very pleased when Mr. Pellin spoke and Mr. Carmack, and I thought we were lucky to have both of them. And Mr. Bletcher, it's interesting that probably 3 or 4 years ago I came here and you were up there hammering away at 6710 and how important it was and how you were going to follow 6710, and that's the reason you gave to fire Mr. Jarecki and fire Mr. Zalasko from the board, and you were pounding, and I think you called him a bloviator, and that's what you were again tonight. And I asked you a question a couple weeks ago about the affidavit that you put into the court regarding the police commission. I think Mr. Counts was here the time that happened, and I asked you about the numbers and how you came up with a $700 and some thousand for the police pension or health care fund, I think it was. And you couldn't remember, and you told me to go see Ann Darsniak. Do you remember any of that? Silence. At some point, at some point, you folks are going to have to answer questions, and you can sit there for 4 years, which doesn't seem fair to us. You can sit there for 4 years and answer no questions. Uda, where is the communication commission that disappeared under your watch? Where is the money that the money that was used to pay for a bridge litigation that you paid, or that you voted for, you two, where is all that? Where does that go? When are you gonna tell the community what is actually going on? Call me on the phone, that's always the thing. We want to know as a group, the whole 10,000 people have a right to know what the heck's going on here, and you four do not. Tonight, you're telling us how important it is to have somebody that can run the budget, and you don't even know how many dollars how much our pension plan is in debt, do you? Do you know? Silence again. There is no, it's the silence group. The silence group. Do that, Uda. That's cute. That's cute. That's cute. That is a
Flavin,
smart.
it's public
That's a
comment.
smart
It's-
way to answer a
It's
public person.
comment. I was simply mimicking the motion you made, but
We're
this is
mimicking me.
This
Uda,
is not public comment.
Uda, please just let him talk.
Okay, I'm just saying this is public comment. We are
Uda,
not meant to
you're
answer
taking
you.
up his time.
I know.
When are you going to answer us, Uda? When will you answer? You've gotten 20 years in government here, and you refuse to tell people, to talk to people. You refuse to have a communication commission. You helped shut it down. You don't want people to know what you're doing.
My name's Maureen Flavin, Park Lane. I wish the four of you would just admit you just don't want Pellin as the chief. This is the third time that he's been recommended by the police commission. And I also believe that you are creating a different process for him than the other candidate. You had him jump through a bunch of hoops before you'd even, really? You can shake your head. Jump through a bunch of hoops before you would even offer him the position, saying you were going to treat him like a new hire. It certainly shows a blatant disregard. And then I want to address you and your word salad tonight. You had said that one of the things that you didn't like about Pellin was that when you interviewed him, he said, I. And then when you were talking about Carmack, no offense, when you were talking about Carmack, you quoted that he said, I did this, I did that. So pick one. You don't like that he said I, or you just don't like him? And we know what the answer is. And Uda, you are severely disrespectful to the community. You are one of the most disrespectful. I'm talking to you. You could at least have the respect and decency. Oh, I'll record it for you. I'll send it to you. Yeah, I'm sure I will. You are one of the most disrespectful people up there on the board. You really are. To say that he did a campaign, we're all here exercising our right to, our First Amendment right.
Let me
No.
correct you.
You're taking
I
my time.
said-
You're taking my time. You're taking my time. You're
Let her-
taking my
please,
time.
let her talk.
Gotcha.
Okay. You're saying that you've never seen anybody come out like this? Well, maybe that's because we think he's the best choice. And maybe that's because we think that he would be the greatest chief. And maybe we think that the safety of this community is very important. Okay? So to say that he didn't tell us to stop, he wasn't instrumental in this. This was community involvement. And to say that you're being harassed and intimidated and that you're being threatened, well, if you are being harassed, intimidated, and threatened, then you should probably report it to the police. So I'd love to know who's harassing and who's threatening you, because I haven't seen anything like that on Facebook. And if anybody wants to make comments on Facebook, it's their right. And if you don't like social comments, then maybe you should do what the community has elected you to do and represent them, not your own political interest. All four of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Flavin. Flavin. Uda, you have.
I just want to make a correction that I didn't say Ken Pelland orchestrated the campaign. I said that his well-meaning entourage organized this campaign, and that I have it written down.
You said that he didn't call it off, and then I also find it interesting that that's the reason you're using to vote against him. Then what was all the reasons the other time?
Lieutenant Pellant didn't have
Okay. Greg, you're not recognized. You're not recognized. Does anyone else have, anyone else? Anyone else? And Tom.
I've already given you my good evenings. Tom Malvesto, 8049 Birkshire Drive. It's no secret that I came here in support of Uta. Am I intruding? Can you pay attention to me? Will you please look me in the eyes? Mm-hmm. I came here initially to support Ken Pellant, and I still do. I find statements made by members of this board to be disgusting at best. They were self-serving. They were twisted. They were turned around to make Officer Pellant look like, Lieutenant Pellant look like he was incapable of doing a job. But you know what disgusts me the most? It's when an elected member of this board, a clerk, who is supposed to be, part of her job is maintaining communications, being transparent, sits there and belittles myself, other residents, because we on social media supported Ken Pellant. She accused him of not taking it upon himself to shut us down. Well, you know what that reeks of? That reeks of a communist society. That's where a ultra left-wing liberal wants to shut down your voice because they don't seem to believe what you're saying is true. They don't want to hear it. So there must be something wrong with you. Well, maybe there's something wrong with you. And open your eyes wider, please. I don't think Officer Pellant has ever been called to testify about destruction of public records. I believe there's other people in this room that may have had to go in and do an interview like that. So at the end of the day, what you have done to the residents on this island, to myself, to Lieutenant Pellant, by your bent, twisted, warped remarks, have done a complete disservice to the people that you're supposed to represent. And if you don't like that, you keep shaking your head. I've seen you do it. I saw that when I sat on this board, I saw you do that. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. But from where you're sitting as an elected official, you do not have the right to belittle the residents who voted for you and put you in your place. You don't have the right to cut down an officer and suggest that he was somehow behind a social media campaign. So you just listen to your words, if you can. Because quite frankly, they disgusted me, and they disgusted the majority of this township. Gentlemen, I wish you good luck in the future to come. And Jameson, I apologize to you. I really do. Mike, thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Any other hands? Mr. Zalaska.
Apologize to you guys for having to go through this circus. Congratulations to the four people up here, which I don't think I have to introduce, for insulting the commission, the department, and many of the members of this community. Two members of the 2020 team that I supported, and I'm going to pay dearly for this for the next 3 years.
the information that you presented, the rationale that you used to change the decision tonight and knock Mr. Ken Pelland out of the position was so weak and insulting. Couldn't you have done better than that? If that's all you got, then you had no business not electing Mr. Ken Pelland. Jim, the MTA guidelines. These people went and adjusted 6710 for you. 3 times they brought him up here, and 3 times you knocked him down. Now you want the commission to do number 4. In the handbook, it says you as supervisor are supposed to endorse ordinances, not alter them. There's nothing in the 6710 that says you had to create another committee. You should have just stayed with the thing the way it was. Uta. You humiliated this guy tonight. He came here, nominated for the chief of police position, and you humiliated him. You suggested that he should have told all of his supporters to not support him. How ridiculous is that?
We're going to tell all your supporters that.
Mr. Bletcher. You insinuated that the morale in the police department was the fault of somebody else. Let me tell you when the morale of that police department went down. The day that you violated 6710 and bypassed the commission and put your decision in there for the chief of police. That's when the morale in that police department started going down. You were asked out by the commission itself to leave your position because of your dereliction of duties. You refused. So what did you do? You turned around and you tried to dismiss 2 commissioners. One of them sitting right next to you. You sat there and you came up with 6 false accusations, all of which were proved false. Then you blamed us for losing $188,000 to the township because we weren't supposed to hear the grievance. Let me remind you, you're an attorney. The appellate court said that we did have the right to hear the grievance, and in addition to that, they endorsed our decision. Instead of sitting there and hoping everybody's going to forget about all the things that you've done, you owe the Jarecki family and that man sitting right next to you a public apology. That's what you owe. So to sit there and think that everybody's going to forget about what you did and you're going to sit up there and be an authoritative figure, it's not going to happen. People are not going to forget what you did tonight. Trust me. God help this township, because it's not getting any help from you 4 people. Thank you, Bob. Nothing else? Oh, Mark.
Mark Mills, resident of 23509 West River Road since 2015, regardless of some here might believe. There's a lot of divisiveness between the board. It's carrying over to the police department. My statement to you is simply this. Mr. Supervisor, you're gonna have to find a way to bring everybody together to come up with a solution. Because when the board, police commission does present another candidate, if there isn't a candidate that you 4 agree on, at least this way it appears right now, and this is the way it looks, that's all I'm saying.
Fine.
If they present another candidate that you guys don't agree on, then what? I mean, how many times have we come back and do this and leave our township and our police department basically, for lack of better words, unmanned, right? We need a leader in that seat. And people bounce around. We've had, what, 3 interim chiefs this past 3 years? Is that correct? Regardless.
This is number 3.
Right. So I've also been in law enforcement for quite some time, coming up on 30 years now. And I can tell you from what I've seen over the years, something like what's going on right now, because our elected officials can't agree on something, is going to, I mean, as far as, I mean, I saw you squint. I mean, I'm talking about the candidate. That's what I'm talking about, right? It's just going to cause more divisiveness within the police department, more breakdown within the police department. Morale is going to keep going further down. And up here, it's just going to keep getting worse and worse, too. I mean, I'm actually embarrassed at some of the comments that were made by the board and some of the people in the audience, to be quite honest with you. Very unprofessional on both sides of the fence. Very unprofessional. I implore you people, please, come up with some type of solution, some type of an agreement of what you're looking for together so you can find the next police chief, which, well, in my opinion, should have been named tonight. But that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mark. See any hands? Anybody else? Hearing none, I entertain a motion.
So moved.
Oh, motion to adjourn, or do you want a motion, or do you want support?
You? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Thank you. Thank you all for coming.